you can research the human brain and right?
Okay.
It says that we are only capable of using 10% of our brain, right?
Yes.
You believe that?
No, that's.
But you about to say it's true.
I'm saying that's what people say, that is the consensus
So it's the consensus scientifically. So who was the guy that used 11 that made it okay to say everybody's just using 10?
That isn't the right logic.
No.
The person who uses 10% of your brain is the one that said 10%.
No, because if you're only using 10% of your brain, you don't even know that you're using 10% of your brain.
Heyo, this is the Ball Don't Lie podcast here on Penn State Sports Night. No New Year's resolutions here. I think that's a little bit overrated. It's yours truly, Hunter Pitcoff. Just me in the studio, but we're going to be making an important phone call later on in the podcast, so be tuned to stay into that because we're going to have a very special guest. Obviously, extremely excited to get back on the airwaves, back to be in school, and just in general talk some hoops again. And you can all criticize me on the tube. So anyway, to kick things off, we're going to start off with the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie Irving. Over break, he was out for over 2 months. He scored 21 points, 10 of 11 from the field, in a comeback win over the Hawks, or in his comeback over Atlanta. Karis LeVert's also back on the court, but even with that, Kyrie is saying that Brooklyn needs one more piece at least to be a true contender in the future. Obviously, a big piece that's missing right now is Kevin Durant himself, and we don't really know if he's going to be the same player or not. That's going to be interesting to find out, but in my opinion, I think Kevin Durant will still be a stud, and I think, in the immediate future, it'll be interesting to see how Spencer Dinwiddie and Kyrie Irving work in a backcourt, because Dinwiddie's had an all-star caliber season, and it's going to be really difficult to bring him off the bench again. I just don't think that makes a lot of sense. We'll see how my boy Long Island represent Kenny Atkinson, the head coach of the Nets, does. And for future reference, I do actually agree with Kyrie's sentiments. I think that the Brooklyn Nets do, in fact, need to make a move in the future because, the Nets are a team that are extremely talented now, but I do think, the supporting cast can get slightly better. Perhaps a guy who can really, defend wings and, maybe another big man or a stretch four guy that can also really help out this team. But, only time will tell. Obviously, the Nets, they want to make the playoffs this year, but I don't expect them to make any much more noise than that. Another interesting factoid here, the Toronto Raptors, they are winning on and off the court. That's right. They're the first team to ever receive the NBA Team of the Year award. So they are recognized for their achievements across the business side of basketball, whether that be ticketing, partnerships, marketing, digital media, business analytics, and innovation. So, clap it up for the Toronto Raptors. They did a good job there, I guess. It's a well-oiled machine, that entire franchise. And, they're winning on and off the court, so credit where it's due. Also, around the association, James Harden recently eclipsed 20,000 freaking points, and he's the 7th youngest player to ever do it, and you already know that he's going to be climbing up that, all-time ranks when it's all said and done. I think he'll be, I'd say at least top 10. Maybe he can be top 5. You never know. I mean, that man is scoring at will. It just seems at times he cracked the cheat code in modern basketball because he doesn't shoot any mid-range shots, but shoots a ton of threes, all those step-back threes, and he obviously, gets to the foul line, shoots as many free throws as anybody ever has. The rate's insane. So you got to give credit to James Harden, who also says that he gave the game ball to his mom and says, quote, "Every goal and achievement that I have, she has it. I gave it to her, and she'll put it in a safe place." So if you're listening to this, be sure to appreciate your moms, appreciate your parents, your family, your friends, appreciate all the people that got you to where you are. So I think that was really dope of James Harden that he does that with his family. Now, a team that is really hot, and we'll get to them a little bit later, of course, is the Utah Jazz. As of this recording, they are currently riding a 10-game win streak. It's worth knowing, though, that they only beat one good team, which was the Clippers, over this span. And also, so I don't know. The Utah Jazz, I think they're a good team, but be sure to tune in because I think that, they'll cool off eventually. But I will say, Bojan Bogdanovic, he's starting to find himself offensively, starting to hit a lot more threes. Donovan Mitchell, I just think he's out to prove doubters wrong, trying to prove everybody that he is an all-star caliber type of player. And also, they made an acquisition. They swapped Dante Exum, which I think it's safe to say didn't work out for Utah. The whole Dante Exum transformation type of point guard. Not really. But they got Jordan Clarkson, who has definitely had some scoring outbursts off the bench. He had 33 against the Grizzlies, 19 against the Clippers, 20 against the Pistons, 16 against the Pelicans, and 23 against the Wizards. So, yeah, or I may have said 20 against the Wizards. I meant Pistons for that one. But anyway, the Utah Jazz, that was a nice acquisition to get Jordan Clarkson. They definitely needed some scoring off the bench. That was a very solid get. Didn't give up too much to get him. And, Dante Exum really, it wasn't a fit. It was over. So, I guess for Utah fans, sorry, not sorry. At least you got Donovan Mitchell as a guard there. But anyway, I've been waiting forever for Zion Williamson to play this season, and he's going to be making his return on January 22nd against the Spurs. That's less than a week from now, so I'm really pumped for that. And I really think that the Pelicans could make a playoff push. That's right. They were toward the bottom of the West, but I believe they've won 7 out of their last 10 games. That's extremely impressive. Brandon Ingram has put up all-star numbers. Drew Holiday's super reliable. It's also worth noting that Lonzo Ball is starting to find his groove. Perhaps Kendrick Perkins calling him a bust maybe lit a fire under him. I'm not sure, but this is a young, fun Pelicans team, and they're really starting to show the true colors. It's just going to be interesting to see if Zion Williamson kind of screws up everything and takes him out of the flow of their offense, how the Pelicans use him, or maybe he's just a superstar right out of the gate. I definitely think that he'll make an impact right away because the Pelicans are not one to rush him back. Obviously, his timetable while he was hurt, it ended up being a lot longer than we expected, but nevertheless, the Pelicans are only going to wait for him to be 100%, and I think that Zion's going to make an immediate impact. I'm not going to give you numbers because I have no freaking idea, to be honest with you, but I'm very confident that Zion Williamson will be a stud for this team. And last but not least, this is kind of NBA, kind of not NBA news, but LaMelo Ball, he's shutting it down in Australia. He's currently undergoing a 6-week rehab process for a bone bruise. Nothing serious, of course, but I think it's smart of him. I think he definitely solidified himself at least top 5, maybe top 3, maybe even the first pick. I'm an Anthony Edwards guy. I love the athleticism, and it's off the charts, and he can, be a guy who I think will be a better defender in the NBA than LaMelo. But I think LaMelo's a stud, don't get me wrong. And, I think a team like the Knicks would be honestly an awesome fit for him. I think he has shown that he's mature enough to handle the big spotlight. I mean, the dude's had it ever since he scored them 92 points at Chino Hills. So, as we always say on this podcast, no team left behind. And, of course, we're going to be giving our Player of the Weeks. So first off, we're going to, obviously me and David would each rattle off 3 apiece. I'm not going to do 6 and overcompensate. I think that would be a little much, probably a little boring to listen to, but I'll give you 3 names because why not? 3 I think is very fair, and I know we've been missing a lot of time, so I'm not going to take into account Player of the Week for 4 weeks. It's just going to be for the last 7 days. So to kick off my list is going to be Zach LaVine. I feel like he's just trying to crack his first All-Star game. The Bulls suck, but they are 2-2 in their last 4 games here over this past week. Zach had 32 against the Pelicans, 25 against the Pistons, 30 against the Celtics, 30 against the Wizards. Also just showing the all-around game as well, having at least 6 helpers in 3 of those 4 games. So got to give credit to Zach LaVine. He has taken a huge step up. We're going to talk about that a little later in the podcast as well. Just a little teaser for you, you know what I'm saying? But, Zach LaVine is a super talented player, and he's been showing it at least as of this month of January, and honestly the whole season. It's just a shame that he's unfortunately a Chicago Bull, and that team is going nowhere. Another player, I guess you can call him a Bull, a young Bull, that's going to be Colin Sexton. The Cavs also suck. But nevertheless, he's individually been pretty good. Going up against some pretty tough teams, too. He had 19 against the Pistons, 25 against the Nuggets. That was actually a road victory for Cleveland, so give credit to the Young Bucks there. He had 16 against the Lakers and 25 against the Clippers. So I get that he's definitely allergic to passing. Colin Sexton is not really a point guard. And Darius Garland's not really either. They're both more scorers. So I'm not sure how the fit is there. Plus defensively, they're both undersized. So yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not sure that's eventually going to work. They're both good in their own right, but maybe better off on separate teams, if you will. But Colin Sexton's definitely become a better player in his second NBA season. He's definitely not had a sophomore slump. He's been a lot better. So yeah, I mean, I'm pumped for Colin Sexton, and at least the Cavs, if you're a Cavs fan, it gives you some reason to go to a game. Now, last but not least, I feel like everyone's kind of forgotten about De'Aaron Fox because he got hurt, but he's still my third player of the week here. He scored 27 points in his last 3 games, 10 assists and 7 assists and 7 rebounds in his last 2 games, which is against the Magic and the Dallas Mavericks. And the Kings have actually been struggling recently. They just can't seem to get it together. Marvin Bagley cannot consistently stay on the floor. He's been dealing with a ton of injuries this year. De'Aaron Fox was out for a long time. But yeah, Fox just reminded us that, he's one of those dudes, and we got to know who's capable. We got to know what De'Aaron Fox is capable of. We can't forget that. He has all-star kind of potential, maybe the fastest player in all of basketball. He's a guy that, you can't overlook him. De'Aaron Fox is definitely one of those dudes that gets it done, at least on the offensive side of the end. But, he does have some defensive prowess as well. So, it is 2020. Unfortunately, it's the same old me. But nevertheless, we're going to look back at some of my predictions that I made. And we're going to start off with my 3 predictions I left on my last podcast, and then talk about how those 3 predictions and how they've played out over these last couple weeks. It was kind of like my top storylines to kick off 2020. So my first one was absolutely wrong. I said that Kevin Love was going to get traded to the Atlanta Hawks. I don't see that happening. It seems like the Hawks would prefer Collins at the 4 rather than the 5. They tried Andre Drummond. It didn't work. So we'll get into that later, because obviously Andre Drummond is still an interesting guy on the trade market, and Kevin Love is also an interesting guy as well. But it just seems like the Hawks aren't going to force it, and they're probably not. I don't know. I guess they don't really like the Love-Collins pairing. So, all right, that's fair. The second kind of prediction I made entering this new year was that I said boys to men, in the sense that we're going to really start to see the true title contenders. And there's a lot of good teams in the NBA. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But I personally think that this prediction's kind of come to fruition, because I really think the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Bucks are the only true NBA teams that I can actually see winning a championship this year. I love teams like the Miami Heat. The Celtics have been really good in the East. And then in the West, Houston's always in the mix. Denver, Utah has gotten hot as of recently. You obviously want to root for a team like Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks, but I still only think that's those 3 teams. So I'm going to, check myself off there. And my third prediction was that the Spurs would get back into playoff contention. They are currently the 9th seed, so they actually did move up. And they were the 8th for a while, but Memphis kind of jumped them. They've been playing really well recently. So, yeah, Spurs have been playing a lot better. So I'll pat myself on the back that one there. I'd say a solid 2 for 3. That's not bad. Nothing too bold or anything, but maybe the Kevin Love one was the bold one. That is the one, of course, that I fell flat on. So another prediction I made earlier on, I believe I made these predictions before the season started. All of them, I believe I did. So first one, we're going to talk about players who I thought would be first-time All-Stars. I said Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Pascal Siakam, Trae Young, and Jason Tatum. I think I may go 6 for 6 there. All those guys have been awesome this year. They're all really young players. Some of them have just gotten the bad end of the stick the last couple of years, like a Booker or a Mitchell. Probably should have been All-Stars, but weren't. Some guys just got significantly better as well. All 6 of those guys all have had terrific years and are showing a lot of promise. So that one was pretty good. My award predictions are a little iffy, not going to lie. I said Kawhi win MVP. He's definitely had a terrific season, but I probably wouldn't say that he's a front runner to win MVP. Perhaps it's because, he's Mr. Load Management and doesn't like playing games, but I don't know. It's a little ballsy of a pick, I'm not going to lie, but I don't know. I feel like Kawhi Leonard, he's got 2 finals MVPs. I feel like he's going to win a regular MVP eventually, so I kind of want him to be ahead of the curve. Be a little bit of a hipster, but probably not getting that one right. My rookie of the year was Zion Williamson. Now, granted, had I known that he wasn't going to play a lot of games, I probably would have picked Ja Morant, but I picked Zion at the time. It's just kind of unfortunate, but I'm sure Zion's going to put up really good numbers. And then for my defensive player of the year, I picked Anthony Davis. You can call me biased, but he may very well be the defensive player of the year, especially considering how much effort he puts on the offensive side of the ball. And it's even harder to play elite defense than it is to play elite offense. And he does both of those things. And, he's a guy who gets a lot of blocks, gets a lot of steals, but also gets a lot of deflections. He's smart, doesn't really foul. He's very, very rarely in foul trouble. Knock on wood for future games for me. But nevertheless, though, Anthony Davis has been really good for the Lakers. He's completely also changed the culture of that Lakers. Lakers are one of the best defensive teams in the league. A lot of that has to do with Frank Vogel, of course, but a lot and other players on the Lakers. But Anthony Davis has been the catalyst, and he's completely been a culture changer. And hopefully the Lakers, this isn't all for nothing, and he doesn't leave in free agency. My most improved player is, of course, a Ball Don't Lie favorite, Jonathan Isaac. That's right. He's been hurt recently. I believe he was out for 6 to 8 weeks, still nursing injuries. But he was showing flashes. I swear he was playing well. But yeah, I know most of you probably don't really watch the Orlando Magic play. That's fair. But Jonathan Isaac, I don't think the whole thing's out on him yet. I still think he's gonna get better and better, especially when he gets back. And my coach of the year was Nick Nurse. I think a lot of people were like, Kawhi Leonard carried that team, which is partly true, but I thought Nick Nurse was really going to show that, hey, it wasn't just Kawhi Leonard. I'm a good head coach. We got a good team. And he still could win Coach of the Year. I think Frank Vogel may be the front runner, but Nick Nurse is definitely up there, and he is a very, very good head coach. So I feel like I did relatively okay on those predictions. Nothing crazy. Now, next I'm going to go to my playoff standings. So in the East, I'm going to tell you what my predictions were entering the season, 1 seed through 8 seed. So here we go. I had the Bucks, the 76ers, the Raptors, the Heat, the Magic, the Celtics, the Nets, and the Pacers. So my first seed, the Bucks, that's a no-brainer. They're going to be the number 1 seed to end the regular season. They're going to have home court advantage, perhaps throughout the entirety of the playoffs, at least through the Eastern Conference. I think it's something the Lakers probably duking it out at this point. The Sixers have been a little bit of a disappointment. I thought it was really going to be Milwaukee and Philly as the powerhouses. That's not necessarily the case. The Sixers have been a little underwhelming. They're not very good on the road. And, this is a team that has a lot of talent, though, so I'm not out on them just yet. The two teams I feel like I was really high on entering the season were the Raptors and the Heat. And I believe the Heat are currently second in the East, and the Raptors are also in the mix. I believe they're 4. Yeah, I mean, I did pretty good with those predictions. Plus, guys like Pascal Siakam have missed games for the Toronto Raptors. So, yeah, no, and I feel like I did pretty good there. The Magic, I believe, are currently the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. That one, that was a little bold, especially having them over teams like the Celtics and the Pacers, who have been a lot better than I thought. The Celtics, I was very concerned with their defense. Their defense has actually been very, very good this year. Their interior defense, I still think they could use another piece, but the offense is also crazy. They got 3 guys averaging over 20. They also, Gordon Hayward's in the mix somewhere too. Jason Tatum is playing at an all-star level. Jaylen Brown's been awesome too. Kemba, he's going to be a starter. He's one of the best point guards in basketball. I'm sure an all-NBA caliber guy this year as well. And, I don't want to blame it all on Kyrie. I think that's unfair. But the culture is a lot different, and I it's hard to doubt the Celtics a whole lot nowadays. And the Pacers, I had them in 8 because I just kind of thought that the fit with Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis wasn't really going to work. And the fact that Victor Oladipo wasn't going to be there for a while. He's actually, forgot to put this in the rundown, but he'll be making his debut January 29th. So Zion coming back, VO coming back. I'm pretty pumped about that. But yeah, I got all 8 teams probably right. I think those would be the 8 teams still that make the Eastern Conference side of the playoffs, but so I'll take it. The West is a little more interesting here. So my top 2 teams were the Lakers and Clippers. That's pretty fair. I had the Nuggets at 3, Houston at 4, Utah at 5. Yeah, those are probably the top 5 teams. I'll take that. The Portland Trailblazers at 6. Oof, big yikes. Portland's been struggling, and, some of it has to do with injury, I guess. They really don't have a whole lot in the front court, but, Yeah, they're not looking good. It's I'm not gonna doubt a team led by Damian Lillard, of course, but it's not looking good. They gotta get their act together. Their sugar honey iced tea together. I had the Spurs in there, who I thought they'd be a lot better than they are now. I wasn't gonna be the dude that left the Spurs and who had the 8 seed, the Warriors, out of the playoffs. Now, had I known Steph Curry was gonna get hurt, I definitely wouldn't have put the Warriors in my thing. I think I would have put Dallas probably, but I made this before the season and I still left Dallas out, and honestly they look awesome too. So last but not least, I'll go through my all NBA teams. I didn't do traditionally. I did all NBA rookie first team. I may go 5 for 5 with this one. I had Zion, Ja Morant, RJ Barrett, Tyler Hero, and Brandon Clark. I feel like that's honestly pretty impressive on my part. I'm just such an amazing scout. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, no, I mean, obviously Zion, we have to wait and see. But those 4 guys have all been awesome. Don't understand why people were doubting Brandon Clark so much. I had him, I believe, 8th on my big board, and he went 21st. He was Summer League MVP, which I know doesn't mean everything, but nevertheless, still means something. Tyler Hero was also sick in the Summer League. He fits awesome with the Heat. And RJ Barrett and Ja Morant have been awesome too, especially Ja Morant, who apparently turned down the dunk contest, which sucks, but, he's extremely talented, and I loved him going at James Harden. That was awesome. He was talking trash and everything. I was a big fan of that. And last but not least is my All-NBA Most Improved team. That consists of Alex Caruso, Brandon Ingram, OG Anunoby, our man Jonathan Isaac, and Bam Adebayo. I think I did pretty good with that. Alex Caruso, who's maybe my favorite player in the NBA, he's been awesome. He's been terrific. Has definitely shown a lot of growth throughout this season. Still a young guy. Brandon Ingram has arguably been the most improved player in basketball. He's been a superstar on the Pelicans, and that man's going to get paid this offseason, so I'm pumped for him. OG Anunoby has been really good. Pascal Siakam kind of became the Kawhi Leonard of the team, and then OG Anunoby became the Pascal Siakam of this year's Toronto Raptors team, if you can keep up with me there. But yeah, OG's been awesome on both sides of the ball, getting a lot better. Jonathan Isaac, we just shed a light on him before. And Bam Adebayo, he may be an all-star this year, so I not to pat myself on the back here, but I definitely think I did pretty fine with the All-NBA team predictions entering the season. There is no All-NBA Most Improved team. That was kind of a made-up thing because we always do our All-NBA teams here, but I felt like including it anyway because there was some predictions. But if you ask me now, Brandon Ingram may be the most improved player, but I think Devontae Graham's going to win it. I don't normally like, thinking like second-year players should get it, but this dude is averaging 15 more points than he did last year. That is insane, and the Hornets aren't as bad as we thought they were going to be. So that's going to wrap it up for our first 3 segments. We got by them a lot quicker than we normally do, but be sure to stay in because after the break, we're going to have an exclusive interview with a certain Ball Don't Lie alumni. So catch us on the flip side. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie. I am Hunter Pitcoff, not by myself this time. That's right. We got an alumni in the house, David Green.
Hey, it's great to be back, Hunter. I appreciate the big-time introduction. Even if I'm on the phone, it is great to be back like I never left.
Oh, my God. Absolutely. It's also worth mentioning that you still got those hot takes. They are not gone. So
they did not cool off.
They did not cool off, not a bit. All right, so of course we're gonna be doing a special segment. Not really special. I think we've done this before. But we're just gonna do a little NBA stock watch. So me and David, of course, we still don't know who we picked at all here. So making things juicy a bit. So what we're gonna be doing is each of us pick 2 teams, one in each conference, that we think will rise up the rankings as they stand today, and which 2 teams in each conference will drop down in the rankings. So, David, kick things off for us. I guess we'll start in the East.
All right, yeah, starting out in the Eastern Conference. Hopefully we didn't pick the same teams like we always do, keeping it a mystery. But and don't blame me for this, but I have the Sixers rising up in the East. I know what you're going to say, but I honestly think that they're about to get things going. without Embiid. They're coming off a good win. Embiid is out with that gruesome finger injury, obviously. And I think the team without Embiid is starting to gel and get some chemistry going and not rely on his presence so much. So I think that they're going to get going. And then when Embiid comes back, that'll give them a big boost, in my opinion.
David, you're going to probably be shocked, but I also think the Sixers are going to move up.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
They've been really disappointing up until, they just got this win the other day.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're really bad on the road, David. They're 7-14 on the road. Like, that's
right.
terrible. But they have the talent, and that's why it's like all these outside of the Bucks, 2 through 5 or 2 through 6, they're all right there, and the Sixers may have the most talent out of all those teams. And I feel like there's a move to be made. I feel like they're going to make a move at the deadline. We all know that Elton Brand has been an extremely aggressive go-getter at the GM spot for the Sixers. And,
absolutely.
I will say, I would not be I'd be a little shocked, but not totally shocked if they move a guy like Tobias Harris or maybe an Al Horford just to get a couple guys that can make the difference. I mean, Al Horford, the fit with Embiid's been rough. He's even admitted that. And Tobias Harris has had a good year, but he's been up and down. Played pretty well, I think, as of recent. He's had some good games. But, you can get a lot back for Tobias Harris because, A, he gets paid a lot, so naturally you're going to have to give up a lot instead. And, B, it just seems like the Sixers, they need a couple more pieces. It doesn't seem like they're maybe one more piece away, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can agree with you. It's going to be interesting as we get closer to the trade deadline. Maybe we'll find out who exactly is on the trading block for them, because I definitely believe that Elton Brand wants to make a move, and he's made moves before. We saw it last year, so absolutely with that.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page there. Normally I bring you back down to earth on your Sixer takes, and you do that with the Lakers, but no, I agree with you here. I do. So next up, I want to know, David, who you think is going to be moving down the rankings?
All right, I'll keep it in the East for now. Moving down in the rankings, I think the Brooklyn Nets are in trouble right now.
Really?
So the East is wide open, as we know. There's lots of mediocre teams who could get into the playoffs. So the Nets have lost their last 2 games. We have all these annoying headlines about Kyrie Irving making these statements about, we need to add all of these pieces. And he's mentioning certain names who he likes and then leaving out other guys like Joe Harris, who I think he disrespected. So I think he's a great basketball player, but he doesn't really win games on his own. I don't think this team is successful at all until Kevin Durant comes back.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not a title contender until KD gets back. I agree with Kyrie. Like, I do think for them to get to that championship point, I do think they need more than just a Kevin Durant return. But yeah, I completely forgot about the whole thing you said where they were mentioned. He's literally naming off dudes, and yeah, he's not named Joe Harris. I mean, maybe perhaps he was just naming guys, and I don't know,
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? Yeah, I mean that's a very good point. My team isn't necessarily a playoff team now. I just think they're just gonna keep getting worse as the dumpster fire in Detroit. I think for one, they're going to be sellers at the deadline, or they're going to try. Andre Drummond, of course. Derrick Rose has had an awesome season. His per 36 numbers are literally right on par with his per 36 with the Bulls when he won MVP.
I actually saw that. That is unbelievable because you would think the Bulls would be doing better.
Yeah, I mean that was crazy when I saw that. It's not even one of those BS things. It was literally a legit side-to-side comparison. I mean, it'd be hard to argue that he's as good as that MVP season now, but that's just to show you how good Derrick Rose still is as a player. And then I think Markieff Morris could also gain some attention. Langston Galloway, I'm hearing teams want as well. So I think the Pistons are going to trade a lot of their really good players. A lot of their good players. Anyone that can make any sort of impact. Blake Griffin may be out for the entire year, or at least for a huge chunk of the year. He just got surgery. So I think that it may be good that they're going to be, moving down because this team's always been middle of the pack, and perhaps now they have a true direction and are finally committing to a rebuild.
Hunter, I gotta say, I'm really not. I'm not surprised. This team is really disappointing. I thought that they would do a little bit better this year, and I agree that they're going to continue to drop. You mentioned Blake Griffin being out. for a really extended time now. And I guess they have everyone up on the trade block. You mentioned even Drummond could be on the trading block for them?
Yeah, I was hearing the Hawks were very aggressive to get him, but they just pulled out. Yeah. They guess
want a big man.
Yeah, they do. He would be a great fit. Like a Trae Young, Andre Drummond pick and roll would be sick. But yeah, I guess the Hawks the Pistons have been insistent on getting a first round pick, and I think that most teams are just kind of like, especially the Hawks, because their first round pick could be the first pick of the draft this year.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. I mean, I thought the Pistons were going to improve a big time because Dwayne Casey came in and they had a healthy Blake Griffin coming back, but and Derrick Rose being added in. But I don't know. I guess the pieces just didn't add up this year.
Yeah, I guess it just didn't. I don't know. It's a typical Detroit season, just very But
yeah.
Anyway, let's talk a little more positive here, David. Who you think's a Western Conference team that could be moving up the ranks?
All right, so in the West, I think a team that will move up and continue to start to do better is the Portland Trailblazers. So they were getting it going. After they got Carmelo, the team was doing well. They got a couple wins together. But if you take a look at the standings, I believe they're in the 10 seed. They're far out of the playoffs right now, which really surprised me when I looked. But they've won their last 2 games, and I just don't see any way that Portland doesn't make their way back into the playoffs. I think they're a team that plays really well around the All-Star weekend and then after that All-Star weekend. What do you think of that?
That's definitely a great point. They've always been a team, like, after that All-Star break, they always are really good. You're absolutely right about that. That one went all over my head a bit. The Trailblazers scared me, though, this year. I'm not going to lie. They've been very disappointing. I had them as my 6th seed entering the season. I thought that was a pretty safe spot to put them at, but yeah, it's been a little rough for them. So they have good guys, of course. Their bench is very sus, though. Like
Whiteside has been doing well.
Yeah, I trust their 5 guys, and then plus Anthony Simons, but their bench was so good last year. Like they lost Seth Curry, Zach Collins has been hurt, but he may come back. Nurkic may come back. So they are missing a lot. Ronnie Hood went out with the injury. He was out for the year with the torn Achilles. So it's been kind of unfortunate for them, but they are a team that is always there, so perhaps they have another surge in them.
Absolutely, and I really believe in their coach Terry Stotts.
Mm-hmm.
I think this team will figure it out, especially like we said late in the season. They play really well and play really hard.
Yeah, and Neil Olney, their VP of President Basketball Ops, he's always a guy I feel like I can get a move done at the deadline. So we'll see. But my team is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans. I think they're going to be moving up in the rankings. They already are. They've won 7 out of their last 10 games, and this is without Zion, and he's coming back on January 22nd. That's less than a week from now. And look, I think that the Pelicans, we all assumed once Zion was gone, this team's over. They're not interesting. Brandon Ingram has become a superstar. Drew Holiday is still a dog. Lonzo Ball has played so much better ever since Kendrick Perkins went on national television and called him a bust. Jackson Hayes is actually given him minutes as a rookie where a lot of people didn't think he would. And it seems like they're not going to be having a fire sale there. It seems like they want to stay pat and make a playoff push. I'm hearing J.J. Redick's not really on the trade market anymore, nor is Drew Holiday. And if they're keeping their guys, it means they're confident. And with a guy like the first pick in the draft, Zion Williamson, coming back, that's a whole nother element that this, who knows how good he's going to be, I
really like the fact you mentioned the Pelicans for this. I didn't really think of them, but you make a lot of good points. You mentioned this team has a lot of good players. I forgot about Jackson Hayes. When I watched him, he was gobbling up every single little floater and layup that was going up. He is all over, really active on the defensive glass. And you mentioned all those names: J.J. Redick, a grown-up; Drew Holiday, an experienced dog; Lonzo Ball, not in LA anymore, doing his thing; and Brandon Ingram. I am so pleasantly surprised with how great Brandon Ingram has been this year.
Yeah, Slender Man has been killing it, but Pelicans. I think that's a team you gotta watch out for. We were us as I guess an NBA community, we're super excited to see him or see Zion, see Ingram, see this young core for the Pelicans, even if they were just a fun team to watch. But, now with it seems like everyone's coming back, and they are going to be a fun team to watch, and maybe one not to be reckoned with. So, David, I want to know a team that you think could potentially slip a little bit in the rankings here.
All right, so out west, I think that the Minnesota Timberwolves have the potential to slip and drip down even more. They lost their last 3 games in a row. And you take a look at the standings, and a couple weeks ago, you and I talked about how strong of a start they had to the season. We were pretty surprised about it, and I haven't paid much attention to them since, and I just checked the rankings, and they are really, really far down, way out of the Western playoffs. They could get themselves a really good draft pick for next year based on their record now. I mean, they have Wiggins, who played well this year. Towns, obviously, is a beast, top 5 big man in the NBA. Culver, a very nice rookie, but I don't know what they're doing. They lost their last 3. Their record is terrible. What do you make of the Minnesota Timberwolves?
I never know what to make of the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have guys that they just traded Jeff Teague, obviously, and Travion Graham, if that means anything. But they also...
That's right. Yeah, we missed the Woj bomb today.
We did. It happened before the pod. But we'll talk about it a little bit later. But also, I feel like... Do you feel like time's up, though, Minnesota, with Karl-Anthony Towns? Because now it's just like you're just a stats guy. Like, you're not a winner, blah, blah, blah. Like, I feel like Towns is I feel like he's a little fed up. I am hearing, though, the Timberwolves are aggressively pursuing D'Angelo Russell. Not sure that's going to work out or not, but I can definitely say that the Minnesota Timberwolves, they are consistently a mess. So I guess that's one thing that, they're always good at.
Yeah, I mean, D'Angelo Russell could potentially be a really good asset for them to pick up, but if that doesn't happen, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this team. They're just one of those middle-of-the-pack teams. You could even call them the Detroit Pistons of the West.
Wow. How creative. But, I mean, you actually did bring up a good point. Jared Culver has been pretty good this year. He's been awesome on defense. His shooting numbers, not great, but defensively, and he's starting to show flashes. He had that one, I don't know if, I forgot who it was on, but he had that one, sick poster. He just bodied someone, and he got, teed up after. It was I am blanking on the team.
I saw that. I forget who it was.
Was it Robin Lopez? I think it was, maybe Robin Lopez.
He's always getting dunked on.
Yeah. It's funny. I saw a funny stat. It was, I don't know specifically what it was, but it was the 3, I think it had the best block percentages in the NBA, and it's literally the Lopez twins and Giannis. So I'm okay, so the Bucks technically, by that statistic, have the 3 best rim protectors in the NBA. That's nuts.
Yeah, unbelievable. Hard to believe that you said 3 guys are in the top
3
for shot blocking.
Yeah, it was I think it was block percentage. I'm not 100% sure. I forgot the stat. I was listening to the Through the Wire podcast that House of Highlights does, but I forgot exactly what they said. So but anyway, a team that I think not that I think they're bad or they're gonna move out of the playoffs, but the Jazz are on a 10-game win streak right now. They moved up to the 3 seed. They're gonna cool down. You know what I mean? I still like them, but I mean, I feel like the Clippers and or the Rockets will probably pass them at some point. And they'll probably end up as a 4 or 5 seed.
Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't paid too much attention to the Utah Jazz lately, so I haven't watched their games and seen how they're winning all these games in a row. But those games out in the Western Conference really add up, and I totally agree. If they've won 10 in a row, they're not about to win another 10 in a row.
Yeah.
It could happen, but they're gonna take a night off here or there, I would think.
I will tell you this, David, though. The Jazz, I believe, only beaten 1 team over 500 during that win streak, and that's the Clippers. So it's been some pretty bad teams that they've been playing. So I guess it's good that they're beating up and they're winning the games they're supposed to, but it's not like they're on this win streak where they're just being the juggernauts of the NBA.
That's right. I saw on the rundown that, only one of those teams was a winning team that they did beat in those 10 games. So it does make more sense, but I think it's a great thing that they're winning all of the easy games that they're supposed to. That means they're locked in and they're not giving away any easy games. They want to get home court in the playoffs. So Shout out to the Jazz.
Yep. Hashtag take note. Now, next up on the podcast, we're going to be talking about some more individual players who are doing really well, per se. It's called Heat Check or Nah. Basically, we're going to look at some eye-opening numbers from this season and just kind of talk about if we think these players or these teams will keep it up or not. So, starting off with Zach LaVine, he's averaging over 30 points per game in the month of January. Has it contributed in the win column? Absolutely not. But he's probably played the best basketball of his entire career. He's shooting 47.4% from the field, 38.3% from three, and 83.3% from the line. So, David, do you think Zach LaVine keeps it up? And if he does, could he make the All-Star game?
Hunter, I got to go heat check on this one. I think that Zach LaVine's a really good player. He can put up consistently over 20 points a game, and he can distribute the basketball. He can do a lot of things on offense. But I got to go heat check because he's not going to just continue to average 30 points. I don't think that will happen.
Yeah, I probably will agree with you there. I think that, he probably doesn't keep that up. It'd be cool, I guess, for him to make the All-Star game. But, the East is, I think, more well-rounded this year, at least top 6-7 teams. So, I don't know. It's going to be hard for him to make it. But in order for him to make it, he has to keep this up because when you're on a bad team and in order to make the All-Star game, being on a bad team, your numbers have to be incredible. And at least for right now, he is putting up incredible numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really happy for Zach LaVine. He has brought the level of his game up so high. He gets better every single year. He had that setback with the injury, and he's a borderline superstar, or borderline all-star, I'd say, right now. But shout out to Zach LaVine. He has improved every year.
Yeah, shout out to him. I feel like he does have a nickname, unless I'm missing it, but I feel like he needs a nickname.
Man, that man flies.
Hashtag get him a nickname. But next, we're going to do a little more team-oriented. I just saw this number, and I was just like, how is this possible? So the Raptors have 3 players who are in the top 5 in minutes, which is Kyle Lowry, who leads the league in minutes. Fred VanVleet is 4th in minutes, and Pascal Siakam is 5th in minutes. This is minutes per game. Obviously, Pascal's missed some games, so he's not total top 5, but per game average. For a team that we talk about as the super deep team and things of that nature, and seeing Kawhi Leonard not get a ton of minutes last year, I was very shocked to see that they had 3 guys in the top 5. Even any team, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah, Hunter, I'm not sure where you found this stat, but it absolutely baffles me. I cannot wrap my head around the fact that they have 3 players who are in the top 5 in minutes per game. That is unbelievable, and it goes against everything they did last year to help win a championship. So, I guess I would go major heat check on this one. Not that I don't think it's going to continue to happen. These guys are getting as many minutes as they are for a reason. They're not as deep as they were. But I think it's a heat check in the sense that they're not going to be successful and sustain it into the playoffs if these guys are playing this many minutes.
Yeah, that's where I'm a little concerned with there, because it's yes, they're winning games, but this is not that we think they're gonna repeat, but they're the champs right now, and their fan base expects a lot for them to at least compete with these teams in the Eastern Conference side of the playoffs. And if you have all your players gassed, you're probably not gonna win, especially when it's your 3 best players. So yeah,
right.
I'm a little
recipe for disaster.
It is a recipe for disaster. Just add some spice in it, it'll be even crazier. But next is also a minutes thing. I heard about this a while ago, and it just shows you how amazing Giannis is. Giannis is 2nd in the league in scoring, averaging over 30 per game. However, he is 68th in the entire league in minutes per game. He's on pace to be the first player ever in NBA history, no one has ever done this, to average 30 points per game and not be in the top 50 in minutes.
Another stat that absolutely baffles me. I don't understand how this is possible. First of all, it makes sense that the Bucks are playing him. He's not leading the league in minutes because they need him in May and June for their goals to be accomplished. But for him to be putting up these numbers in these amount of minutes, it's unbelievable. So for heat check or nah, I'm going to go nah. Giannis is the truth, and he's going to keep it going.
Yeah, I agree with you. I guess we're agreeing on a lot of things here, but then no, not intentional. But it is insane that like he's every year. Like you talk about Zach LaVine, same thing. Giannis has gotten better every single year he's been in the league. He's hitting threes now. Like he's not like a crazy threat from three, but he's making them now when he's open. And if he's doing that at a consistent level, like there's literally nothing you can do. Like there may not be anything you can do now, but then it's like there's nothing. You can't even like play off him. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to know the amount of minutes he's actually playing per game. I wonder if it's closer to about 30 minutes per game or 35 minutes per game. But for him to be 68, that is really something.
Yeah, don't quote me on this. I believe when I looked at it, it was like 30.7 minutes per game, which when you think of like 30 is like a lot, I guess, but like for an MVP caliber player, like that's insane. I mean, that shows you how great Milwaukee's supporting cast is because they are terrific and they can pull it off without him in times. And that just makes the Bucks even better because it shows A, they're not solely relying on Giannis anymore, and B, when the playoffs come, Giannis is going to be even more fresh. And he's probably the front runner of an MVP right now. It's insane. Like the Bucks really have like, you said a recipe for disaster for the Raptors. I think the Bucks have a souffle of success. I don't know. I just made that up. That may be cheesy. That may be mad cheesy, but
no, that's the best thing I've heard all day. They have a souffle of success. I couldn't agree more.
Oh man,
I'm not as high on them because I felt like the Raptors figured out a formula to stop them in the playoffs last year, but this seems like the Bucks are really thinking hard about this all year long. Not playing Giannis as much. He's still playing it at an MVP level. The other guys are gaining confidence because they're doing so well with him playing less minutes. The Bucks are the best team in the East. It's as simple as that.
It is as simple as that. Couldn't say more. And it's also super simple that Joe Ingles is 5th in three-pointers made in the last 30 days, drilling 46 from downtown. Maybe that's why the Jazz are on a 10-game win streak, because Joe Ingles is just carrying the team.
Hey, we have huge respect for Donovan Mitchell, two-time back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know the real engine of this team is Joe Ingles, the guy who shut down Paul George in the playoffs, the guy who has been electric from downtown the last 30 days. Joe Ingles is the man. So for heat check or nah, I'm going to go nah. Joe Ingles, this is no accident. This is not a heat check. He's a nice shooter. He's a better shooter than people realize.
Oh, I remember, I don't know if you ever saw this, David. I feel like you probably have, but there was like this interview that Joe Ingles was doing, and they're like, so like, how do you feel you're like one of the best shooters in the league? He's like, I'm the best shooter in the league. Like he immediately was like, nah, I'm that dude. Like,
amazing.
He better be in the 3-point contest this year, because
doesn't surprise me one bit. He is the man.
Yeah, I mean, he's very well liked in Utah. He's a big teammate guy, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm not sure it's gonna sustain. But Joe Ingles, I'm not taking away anything from him. He is definitely a great shooter, and he's playing his best basketball at the right time. So give credit where it's due, right?
Hey, they're winning. You got to give credit where it's due. Watch out for the Utah Jazz, although you and I both agree, like we said earlier, they might slow down a little bit before the All-Star break, I would assume.
Yeah, naturally. But last but not least, I know David had a hard time. I also had a hard time doing it. And we're gonna do the All-NBA team. We're not giving that up just because David ain't at IP anymore. We still gotta do it. We did All-NBA 25 and under team. Basically, it's pretty simple. We each picked 5 of the best players who are 25 years or younger currently in the NBA. So, all right, David, do you want to kick things off?
Oh, 25 or younger? Okay, so my disclaimer is that I figured we were doing under 25.
That's fine. Yeah, I had one guy on here.
Not include Giannis on here, who is 25.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
So I guess we could go back and forth and name one name at a time. Obviously, I'm throwing Luka Doncic. He's the first name that comes to mind of a young player who is a top player in today's game.
Yeah, he was a lock. There was literally no debate in putting Luka on there. It's funny because he's only 20. I think he turns 21 in February. So, like, he's going to be on this list for a while. I have a feeling. Yeah, no argument there. I also have Luka Doncic. Who else do you have, David?
Next up, I have not fellow because I'm not on the team, but I have Ben Simmons, the Aussie from Australia. I think he's only 23 years old still. This kid can do it all except shoot jumpers more than 10 feet away.
Yeah, 10 feet may be a little risky too, but yeah, my other guard spot, I had Devin Booker. I think you can go. They're very, very different players, Ben Simmons and Devin Booker. So I guess I went Devin just because, like, individually he's a stud. He's gotten a lot better. He's not just a shooter anymore. He creates off the dribble. He can get to the basket. He's gotten a lot better as a passer too. I just think it's unfortunate that he's stuck in Phoenix, but you never know. I mean, perhaps Phoenix can come on. They've been struggling ever since our last podcast. They're starting to fall a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe they make a run or maybe make a move. I'm hearing Kevin Love potentially could be going there in exchange for Dario Saric, so I don't know. We'll see.
Interesting. That would be really something, but yeah, Devin Booker is literally a guy you want to build a team around, and I totally agree. He's a lock for the list, too.
Yeah, definitely. So, David, I did have Giannis on my list because I did 25 and under, and that's my bad for the miscommunication. But, yeah, I mean, you would have had him on. You can't leave him off. It's just crazy he's on this list. Like, how's this guy not, like, older? Like, he's been in the league for 7 years now, I think.
Yeah, and he's been dominating for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. It's crazy he's, like, only 25. Like, he's going to be doing this for another, like, 8 to 10 years. Like, oh, my God, that's insane. Jesus Christ.
So, moving on, I don't have my team as position-oriented as you might. I kind of just went with 5 names, but this next one is real interesting. So I'll tell you that I also had Devin Booker on my list. So that's 3 for me.
Yeah.
And then I threw Michael Porter Jr. on my list because
what?
I feel like the Denver Nuggets are literally just waiting to unleash.
Oh my God!
I think he's going to be like the next Kevin Durant. Give him
10 years.
Wait till the playoffs and let's see how many minutes he gets. This kid is an absolute bucket.
Man, David, like I left multi-time All-Star, All-NBA players off my list because I did a little positional. But you put Michael Porter. This guy's played like 6 games.
I just think he's that legit. I think he's that good. Look, I could have left him on my honorable mentions list, which I do have. But
All-NBA 25 under 16. All right, you're just banking. You just think that the Denver Nuggets are like literally holding this kid hostage. Like they have the next Kevin Durant, and for whatever reason, they're just not playing him.
Hey man, they put him in the other night. He had like 20 points in like 12 minutes. This kid is ridiculous. I can't wait to watch him when the games actually matter.
Yeah, I am excited to see Devin Booker play out. You're not wrong there. But another guy who I have on my list. Who'd I say?
You said Devin Booker.
I said Devin Booker. I was looking. I was like looking
both
at my list.
Yeah,
both are buckets. But I got Pascal Siakam. You know that I love him. But yeah, I mean he's super good too. NBA champion. I think that matters. He's gotten better significantly every single year in the NBA. Like he may be a back-to-back most improved player candidate. Like this dude has been absolutely insane. Like he's averaging like 25 this year. There's nothing he really can't do on the basketball court, and I said that he was a lock to be an all-star entering this season. I feel pretty confident about that still. Pascal Siakam is definitely one of the up-and-coming guys in the NBA.
I agree with you. He's a lock for the all-star game, but do you think the injury affects his chances at all? I'm not sure how serious it is.
Yeah, I mean, he has missed some games, but I feel like, I think he's back. But, Pascal's still like I feel like he's done enough to, like, warrant it. Also, if you're going to pick anyone on the Raptors, it has to be him, I feel like.
Absolutely. I would totally agree.
Okay, yeah. So, my last guy on my list, I'm pretty confident you may have also had him, although, actually, he may be 25, so you may not have had him. But Joel Embiid, I had, again, super dominant, both ends of the floor, top 10 NBA player.
I definitely checked to see how old Joel was, and he is 25, so
He's
I
25.
kept him off of my list, but he absolutely would have made it.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, anyway, Embiid, one of the best players in the league. Maybe been a tad underwhelming, but let's just not forget, like, this dude does dominate, like when he's in his bag, like, in that low block. I don't know if anyone, he's unguardable.
Yeah, Embiid's a monster. I really hope he can get right with his hand. He has a torn ligament in his finger.
That's right.
Hopefully, it's his left hand, so hopefully he recovers and the Sixers can get it going.
Yeah, no, definitely. And David, who else you have?
All right, the last guy, I guess, on my starting lineup for the all-25, under-25 team, because I have to name my honorable mentions after, but had to throw Jonathan Mitchell on here.
Yeah, it's a good one.
We talked about Ingles and Gobert, but let's be honest, ball don't lie. Spider Mitchell is the absolute engine that keeps the Jazz going, and he had them in the playoffs. Wasn't he a rookie and he led them to the playoffs?
Yeah, and then he just absolutely outplayed Westbrook and Paul George in that series.
Hey, if you do that, you're the real deal. So I'm sticking with Spider Mitchell. He's absolutely making my all under 25 team. The kid he reminds me of a young Dwayne Wade, which is a major, major compliment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Dwayne Wade's even said that, like, I agree. Like, I co-sign him. He's a stud. For me, that last guard spot, because Luka, of course, was a lock, was between him and Devin Booker. I went Booker. I think he's slightly better, but, Donovan Mitchell was super warranted of that spot. Can't go wrong with there. But, David, you had honorable mentions. For this list, I feel like there has to be so many honorable mentions. But, who do you have? The all 25-second team.
So I had to throw your guy on here, a guy who I was totally wrong about and you were right about all along, was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
Has put himself on the map this season as a borderline all-star player, and he's still really young, so he had to make my honorable mentions.
That was it? You said one?
I had two more.
Okay. Yeah, that was my bad. I messed that one up. But, SGA's my dude, and he had 20-20-10 game, so watch out.
Yeah, and then the two other guys I have on here, a rookie from last year. I had to throw Trae Young on here.
Yeah,
I know he had the injury this year. The Hawks are doing awful this year. I believe they're last in the East.
Yeah, behind the Knicks.
But let's be real, Trae Young is the next Steph Curry, and I think he is better at a younger age than Curry was.
Oh, yeah, 100% agree.
I just think he's carrying that torch, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, sometimes you got to be a little careful with that because even, like, a guy like Kawhi Leonard took a while, a guy like Giannis took a while, even, like, Brandon Ingram, for example, like this year. But, Trae Young literally came in the league pretty much right away and has just dominated. Like, he is, when I said I thought he was better, I think he's, perhaps better than Russell Westbrook. People are like, oh, my God. I'm like, numbers don't lie, though. Westbrook's gotten a lot better. He is, he has been playing a lot better for Houston, although when he plays because he misses some games. But, Trae Young is the real deal. I firmly believe he's one of the 5 best point guards right now in the NBA.
Hey, that's a big-time statement, but it's a fair one to make because that kid is legitimate. I have one more guy on the honorable mentions list who's under 25. I had to throw this rookie in there. A rookie who absolutely took it to James Harden in the Rockets.
Oh, I talked about that earlier.
He's a monster.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. No, I was talking about that in the Round the Association we do, but yeah, I was like, Ja Morant. His confidence is insane. Like, that dude has no fear whatsoever. I feel like every game he either tries crossing somebody up or he tries just ending someone's career with a poster. He was talking trash with James Harden. Like, man, like, that dude is fearless. Like, he's a young dude, but, like, no fear. And, who said it? Tracy McGrady thinks that he'll be an MVP eventually, which is nuts to think. But, and Memphis is the 8th seed in the freaking West right now. They're the 8th seed. They're rolling, and for a fact that Ja's the main reason why.
Yeah, I think Ja's one of those guys. He knows that he got drafted there 2nd overall because they were one of the weaker teams in the whole league last year. Mm-hmm. But he's like, hey, let's make the playoffs my rookie year. Why not? Like,
why not?
Confidence levels through the roof, like you said, and his aggressiveness heading to the hole, and his finesse at the same time.
Yep.
It's amazing to watch. So I had to throw him on the honorable mention.
Yeah, he's just a perfect combination of, like, skill, but athleticism. And now it seems like he's starting to hit his shot a little bit more from the outside. Oh, man, he's a special talent. He's already a great player, but he's going to get even better and be an elite player. He may get all-star votes this year. He may get some votes.
It's possible. Hey, man, just wait till next year. In the off-season, he'll go in the weight room, bulk up a little bit. Mm-hmm. This kid will do it all.
Yeah, no, definitely. If he can carry that terrible Murray State team to the tournament, I feel confident he can carry a team with young talent such as the Memphis Grizzlies to the playoffs. I mean, definitely could happen. I wouldn't rule it out.
He told the Lakers to watch out. The confidence is amazing.
Oh, my God, most definitely. But that's going to wrap it up here with David Green. This won't be the last time we're hearing from him, I'm sure. I feel pretty confident you'll call in, periodically throughout the semester for sure.
Absolutely. Hunter, thank you for having me. Like I said at the beginning, it's like I never left. The podcast is in great hands, so anyone listening to this, you keep listening every week because Hunter will break it down for you throughout the whole season. Yeah,
I'll try my best. I will try my best. All right, thank you. After the break, we're just going to wrap it up here, talk about if I was a GM, would I trade these players or not? So stay tuned. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie. It's just me this time, just Hunter Pitcoff. David Green is, back doing his thing in Philly. Someone get this man a job, okay? This man needs a job. He's more than talented enough. I'm going to co-sign him right here, right now on the Ball Don't Lie podcast. That's what we do. So let's go get this man a job. He's more than willing. Very talented dude, and he's going to work his ASS off. You know that for sure. So last but not least, like I said, we're going to do a segment called Should I Stay or Should I Go? So I'm going to pretend to be a general manager here. There's only, hold on, I'll correct myself here. So when I wrote the rundown, I was like, okay, at this point, there was only one trade the entire NBA season, and it was Jordan Clarkson for Dante Exum. But today, there was another trade. We now have one. Jeff Teague, he's going to be going back to the ATL, the backup Trae Young. Also going with Travion Graham, trading him for Allen Crabbe to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I thought that was pretty interesting. Not really, but I guess it's a good move, to have a good backup for Trae Young and Jeff Teague. I'm sure he's going to give him a lot of good hints and stuff, things of that nature. But the last trade before those two trades I just mentioned was the blockbuster Russell Westbrook for Chris Paul deal, one we did not see coming at all. That was crazy, but so yeah, not a lot of trades, but they're going to come in a hurry. With the trade deadline approaching, it's going to be on February 6th at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A lot of players are going to be swapping jerseys. You already know what it is. But, so yeah, I'm going to be saying what I would do if these players should be traded or whether I think that they should just be kept with their current teams. So, biasly, of course, I'm going to start off with the Los Angeles Lakers and Kyle Kuzma. His name has been all over the place. I kind of get it, He's the third wheel to a LeBron AD. His numbers aren't as good, but, I feel like it doesn't make sense because the capital that the Lakers are going to get back for Kuzma is probably not going to be equal to his value. He's 24 years old. He's making less than $2 million this year, making $3.56 next year in his player option. He's still the third leading scorer on the Lakers. And I get, you hear the rumors that maybe the Kings want to swap him for Bogdan Bogdanovic. I don't really see that happening because I think the Kings are pretty content with what they have right now. They don't need another big man. They have plenty of those already. But if you're the Lakers, keep Kyle Kuzma. He's a scoring plug. He's a rhythm guy. I just think you got to give him more minutes and give him a better opportunity to succeed because he showed, especially in the game against Oklahoma City Thunder with no LeBron, no Anthony Davis. He scored 36 points against a very good Oklahoma City team and nevertheless was able to, win convincingly against that team. But another guy who maybe will be a Laker is Derrick Rose. If I'm the Pistons, I would trade him because he's a great player, but the Pistons, they need a direction at this point. They need to figure out what they want to do. He revived his career being D Rose with the Timberwolves last season. He's only gotten better with Detroit. Me and David were touching on, his how statistically good he's been. Plenty of teams need and you heard it here, dribble, pass, and shoot guy. That's like my favorite basketball saying, arguably. They need kind of a guy like that off the bench. Maybe a team like the Lakers, maybe the Clippers, the Sixers. I mean, the list goes on for teams that can use him. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe the Pistons, they try to extend them long term and, you know, have something to look forward to, or they trade him. I think they have options with Derrick Rose because he is a very highly coveted player right now, and a guy who I'm sure wants to, you know, he's not going to retire anytime soon, I don't think, but he definitely wants to have a championship ring under his belt for sure. Now, a guy who we know he's going to get traded. The question is when, is Kevin Love. It seems inevitable at this point. He's burned all bridges with the Cleveland Cavs. It's time for both parties to go separate ways, but where does he go? I think that the Cavs should be patient. You know, I wouldn't force a trade at the deadline for just Kevin Love's sole convenience. Of course, they want to do him right. He won a championship with the team, 4 straight NBA Finals appearances. But Kevin Love, you know, is a talented player. A team like Phoenix could use him. I heard maybe Denver. I'm not sure how the logistics work there. But don't force it if you're Cleveland. You know, make sure you get the best value. And if it's in the offseason, you have to trade him. It's the offseason. It happens, you know. You got to be smart. Play it smart if you're the Cavs. That's what I would do. We also got the entire Oklahoma City team, which I thought was interesting. They're currently winning games. But this team, it seems like they're built more for the future, obviously, because they have a ton of draft picks. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They got Danilo Gallinari, who's had a terrific season on an expiring contract. Steven Adams always has value. Every team can use an enforcer like that and a great teammate in the middle. And Chris Paul, he's got that huge contract. Dennis Schroeder is also a guy that teams will highly covet as well. I think this is a tough one. I think if there's an offer that's too good to refuse, I think you got to pull the trigger if you're OKC for any of those guys I just mentioned. But in the same breath, though, I also do feel like they you know, this is a great fan base and you might as well win games. You got draft picks anyway for days, and you got a good basketball team. And I feel like Billy Donovan's probably a low-key Coach of the Year candidate, under-radar kind of guy. You heard it here first. But no, this Oklahoma City team is extremely talented and a lot more, and they're playing a lot better than we perhaps thought. Now, last but not least, we got the interesting dilemma between Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet. You know the Raptors want to keep both guys, ideally. But at the same time, you know, they are contending in the East. But I don't know if they can afford to keep both guys, in all honesty. The Toronto Raptors, you know, Fred VanVleet is going to be getting a lot of money in the offseason from any team. Kyle Lowry also makes a lot of money. So I think they're going to have to choose between one of them. Because, you know, Pascal already got an extension. You know they want to extend OG Anunoby. It's going to be interesting what Masai Ujiri does. My 2 cents, I think, as crazy as it may sound, I think I keep Kyle Lowry. He's the leader of that team. He's the culture guy. He's the guy that, you know, the team galvanizes around. Fred VanVleet's awesome. I guess you can't go wrong either way, but either way, I guess you lose a good guy. I guess, is the glass half full or half empty? Who knows? But anyway, that is going to wrap it up for the first episode here of Ball Don't Lie for the second semester. I appreciate David a ton taking time out of his day to call in. You know, we always treat our alumni well here at Penn State Sports Night. Hopefully we'll have someone live in studio with me to also, you know, make my job a little easier. I don't have to talk as much, but that's going to wrap it up here. Thanks for watching. Keep sniffing out the truth there, and have a good one. Stay tuned for next week, as, you know, we got a lot of fun action coming around the NBA.
Thank you for watching our latest edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also follow us on Twitter at PSSNTV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.